Okay. Good evening, everyone. Tonight we are going to start two sessions related to countable and uncountable nouns. Tonight we're going to start by the easier part with a and some and any. How much and how many, but just a little information about it. So I'm going to start. And in order to start working on our lesson, I am going to turn my camera off and share screen so we can have a better internet access, okay? Now we have the countable, the things I can count, and the uncountable. So what are countable nouns? Things I can count. For example, 3 oranges and 2 oranges. What are things that I can count? For example, pencils, notebooks, anything I can count easily. Now, countable nouns can be divided into singular and plural. Singular refers to one. For example, a pear. I put a, which means one, or a, uno, una, and the noun. For example, a pear, a paper, a pencil, and also I can use one. For example, one apple, one cell phone, and things like that. In plural, I have to pluralize my noun, as I told you in the first level. So I have to add maybe S, maybe ES, maybe IES. Okay, let's see. I have a potato because it's one. And also I have, say, potatoes, which is the plural noun of potato. Now, uncountable nouns are things that I can't count, things that I can count if I measure them. For example, liquids like soda, milk, water, beer, wine, anything that is liquid needs to be measured because I don't say I need water, I need a liter of water, I need a glass of water. So I have to mention the container. Then we have grains, for example, salt, sugar, lentils, beans. Beans can be counted. So rice, flour, all those things can be counted if I measure them. Yeah. Then I have, for example, some expressions like time, money, that I need to measure in a different way. I have to say, I can say, for example, I have time, a little time, a lot of time, or I can say I have 2 minutes. I am measuring the time by minutes and hours. And also money. For example, I have a very little money because I only have 50 pesos. I count my money in bills and coins, okay? Let's see. Let's find out if this is a countable or uncountable noun. We love to read books. Are books countable or uncountable? Books are countable. Very good. Let's go with the next one. Please pause the salt. Is salt a countable or an uncountable noun? Very good. It is uncountable. Then we need some chairs. Chairs. Is chairs countable or uncountable? Theirs is countable. Then we also have a and an, as I told you, to refer to singular countable. A for nouns preceded by a consonant, and ang by the ones that are preceded by hello, Eric. Hello, Eric. Okay, we were talking about countable and uncountable. Let's see. Countables are the ones that I can count, and they are divided into plural and singular. For example, singular are a. For example, a pear, one apple. For example, a potato. And I also have, for example, the plural potatoes, which is pluralized, as I told you, in the first level lesson. Now we have the uncountable nouns that are things that I can't count, things that I need to measure. For example, rice, sugar, salt. I don't say, pass me 2 salts, but I say, pass me a pound of salt, a kilo of salt. Then I have, for example, sugar, a pound of sugar, and things like that. I can also say, for example, liquids, liquids and, sorry, I forgot it. Liquids and milk products, they are all uncountable. So let's start checking if we understood. We love to read books. The noun books, is it countable or uncountable? It is countable. Then, please pass the salt. Is salt countable or uncountable? It is uncountable. Then we need some chairs. Chairs is chairs countable or uncountable? Chairs is countable. Then we have, when you were about to enter, we were working on this. It says, I have a and an for singular countable. For example, there is a mango. A goes in sentences where they have to precede a consonant, and an when they have to precede a vowel. And I have to take into account that I use a and an for affirmative, negative, and interrogative sentences. Okay. Then I have for example, some. Some is to talk about plural countable. For example, there are some apples. I am talking about something I can count, but I don't want to mention the quantity. So it is plural countable. Then I have some eggs, is the same. Then we have, there is some sugar and he has some bread. It is used to talk about uncountables, which are not plural, and which I cannot mention the quantity, just to say that I have. Then we have, for example, here, how can I complete the sentence? There is banana in the recipe. There is a banana and banana or some banana. There is a banana because banana is a singular countable noun. Then we have, there is ice cream in the fridge. There is. There is some ice cream in the fridge because it is an uncountable noun. Then we have, I need water to wash my hands. I need some water because water is an uncountable noun. Now, I use some to talk about an specific quantities. For example, I would like some juice. I am not telling how much juice I need. But if I say I would like a glass of juice and if I specify, I am using a quantifier or a container to mention that. Now, remember, some is used to tell that I am using something or I have something. For example, there is some money. I can also use any to refer to countable and uncountable in order to say that I don't have or to ask someone if that person has. It means I use any for negative sentences and for questions. For example, I say, is there any money? ¿Hay algún dinero o algo de dinero? I can say, no, there isn't. No, there isn't any money. No. Let's see if we understood. Let's complete these sentences. I need time to study. Do I have to use some or any? I use some. The next one, there is cheese. There is some cheese or any cheese. There is some cheese. What happened to this? Now, there aren't horses in the field. What can I write? I can write, there aren't any horses in the field. Now, about how much and how many. How much and how many have the same meaning, which is one. But I use how much for uncountable nouns and how many for countable nouns. For example, how much or how many cars are there? I use how many because cars is countable. So let's count. How many cars are there? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 cars. Then we have sugar. How much sugar is there? Let's count. There are 1, 2, 3 spoons of sugar. There are 3 spoons of sugar. The next one. How many pictures? Why pictures? Because I am talking about these pictures. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 6 pictures. Now, how much or how many milk is there? I use how much milk is there. How much milk is there? There are 2 boxes of milk. Then we have, let's complete. There isn't sugar in my coffee. There isn't any sugar in my coffee. The next one. There are oranges in the fridge. There are some oranges in the fridge. Then I have, there aren't tomatoes on the table. There aren't any tomatoes on the table. There is oil in the kitchen. There isn't any oil in, sorry, there is some oil in the kitchen because it's affirmative. Then I have finally, there is orange juice. There is some orange juice. Okay. Now let's continue with, an activity. To identify. So let's see if it belongs to this one. Yes. Now I have. I always get up early and have breakfast at 7:30. I usually have some cold milk and an egg because I'm talking about one egg. Then I have wheat, some brown bread, and a bowl of yogurt. At school, I have lunch with my friend at 12:30. I usually have it is some juice, enormous sandwich, an enormous sandwich, crisps. It would be some crisps, a pear, or some grapes. I never have any nuts because I can't eat them. Because I don't have not, but never is a negative, a sentence, sorry, it's a word with a negative meaning, so that's why. Then I have, at home, dinner is usually at 6:30. At home, dinner is usually at 6:30. We have a lot of different things. For example, we have some meat with rice and vegetables. On Fridays, we have a big pizza each. That's my favorite day. I always drink water with every meal. Some water with every meal. We never have any fizzy drinks. Fizzy drinks are like sodas. Okay. Now, having no more to say and having no one here because I've lost my only student, I can say that this class is over. Remember that we are about to finish our first and second learning and learning activities. So, sorry, I ask you to please check the schedule so we can get up to date in our activities and see you next. Have a nice day. No, sorry, have a good night.